It is egg dehydrating day. We have a bunch of farm fresh eggs that we have gotten and don't want them to go to waste. So we are going to be preserving them. And we decided on dehydrating. We are going to make powdered egg. I also have a couple flats over here. And we'll be using our dehydrator, our Cabela's dehydrator. It's got 6 trays in it. And we have purchased these silicone mats off Amazon. And we bought 6 of them. They've got a little lip on them. So what we're going to do is we're going to line our dehydrator trays with the mat, and then we are going to fill it up to the rim, to the little lip on there, with egg. We will break all the eggs into a bowl and mix those up like we're making scrambled eggs. And then we'll pour them onto our mats. And they'll dehydrate for about 12 to 24 hours. I've got about 2 dozen eggs in this bowl here. We're not sure how old these eggs were when we got them, but I did have some that were no longer good. So I broke each egg individually into a small bowl before I put it over into here, just to make sure that it was good. We'll be saving the shells for compost, added it to our compost in our garden. But I will be pouring this mixture over into my silicone trays now. Okay, I've got all 6 of my trays. Each tray held about 1.25 cups to 1.5 cups. They're just barely covering the bottom because you don't want to go too close to the top of your lip, because you might spill like I did on the first one. Trying to keep it steady to get it over into your tray. This bottom one has got quite a bit more in it. It's probably got about 2 cups. Now we are going to set the temp. And so we are going to dehydrate the eggs on a setting of 140 for 8 to 12 hours. So I have a timer set for a 10-hour mark. I will check those. If they are ready, I will take those out, and I'll be starting a second batch. It will probably take us 3 batches to get all these eggs that we have finished up. So stay tuned. So our first batch came out. It's like chips or crackers. Once I get all 3 batches dehydrated, then I'll run these through the blender, turn it into a fine powder, and then I'll be canning it into quart jars. So our first batch came out. It's like chips or crackers. once I get all 3 batches dehydrated, then I'll run these through the blender, turn it into a fine powder, and then I'll be canning it into quart jars. We have our first batch of dehydrated eggs in our mixer. We are going to grind that up to a fine powder, and then we'll be either putting that in mason jars for storage or mylar bags. We haven't quite decided yet. We've got it down to a powder. And from what I understand, what I've read online, is 1 tablespoon of this powder makes the equivalent of 3 eggs. We will try that out. We will do a demo and just see exactly how that works out. And we'll have that on the video at the end. I've got another batch that's dehydrated, that's ready to complete some more processing. Yeah, I love the way this comes out in big chunks. Not all of it comes out that way, but I love the way this process is working. Be able to make use of all these eggs that we were given. I'm working on the final batch of dehydrated eggs. Getting ready to run that through the chopper. Get it down to a powder and can it up. Doing this that way, any larger particles that may still be in there can have room to move down toward my blades. And then I'll run it on high again. One tablespoon of these powdered eggs should make a 3-egg omelet easily. We will be trying that out. We will be experimenting with that and just see exactly. That way we can let you guys know exactly how much to use of a powdered egg to make 1 egg, 2 egg, 3 egg, for example. I have all my powdered egg. Transfer it into a bowl to make it a little easier. And I'm using my canning funnel to keep it down into the wide mouth jar easier. And I'm just going to fill that up. And we are using a desiccant pouch to put in our jars just to keep any moisture from accumulating. We'll just stick a desiccant pouch down in there. You don't have to do any other sealing with that. That desiccant, it's just like putting herbs in a canning jar. So we ended up with 3 quart jars of powdered eggs. We started out with 10 dozen eggs. About 12.5 dozen of those eggs were not any good. We're not sure how old the eggs were, but we did a float test, and then we cracked each individual egg into a separate bowl before putting it over into our bowl with all the other eggs. So we knew every egg that we used was a good egg. But out of 10 dozen that we started with, only about 8.5 dozen made the cut. But we ended up with 3 quart jars out of about 8.5 dozen eggs. So pretty good. I would say probably about 3 dozen on an average, because this one's not quite as full as the other 2. So about 3 dozen per quart will give you kind of an idea of what you're looking for. If you've got 3 dozen eggs you want to dehydrate, you know, you can get about 1 quart of eggs out of that. I will put all the measurements in the description of basically how many eggs, how long to dehydrate, and what you could yield from it in the description. That way, if anybody has any questions about it, and you could always leave another comment if you have further questions. You want to make sure that when you are grinding this down into a powder, that your powder is like this one and not like this, because this won't break down to a scrambled egg as well as this. This is going to take like an hour to break down, and you don't want that. So you'll make sure you break this down like this. And we are using it's a knockoff bullet is what I'm using to grind that down into a powder. I used my mixer grinder, but it didn't break it down as good as I needed it to. So we are using this bullet, and that is grinding it down into a powder. So you'll want to do that for preserving. And then also, you'll see inside, I've got a vacuum sealer pack in there, so it will eventually, where that is popping right now, it'll eventually seal that for storage. So now I've got 2 more quarts I need to grind down. ended up with a little over 2.5 quarts powdered eggs out of 8.5 dozen. It's all ground up real fine. Now we'll start the test on showing you how it works out. Okay, we are ready to give you a sample of how the dehydrated eggs work. So it's 1 tablespoon of the dehydrated egg to 3 tablespoons of warm water. So we're going to make 4 eggs this morning. And so I've got 12 tablespoons of warm water here in my bowl. And then I'm going to do 4 tablespoons of the dehydrated eggs. I'm just going to mix it up, scramble it in my bowl, like if I was making scrambled eggs. And it takes just a few minutes. To rehydrate. And it will become the consistency of a scrambled egg. So it's thickened up, and we are going to cook them on the Blackstone and see how they cook up. It took about 6 minutes and 20 seconds for it to get this thick, so a little longer than I would have expected, but that'll give you an idea of, you know, you start prepping your powdered eggs, you know, a little bit of time before you're ready to start cooking them. So just give you a little idea of a timeline. I think the warmer your water, the faster it will set up. Now mine was just barely warm, and next time I will have my water almost hot, because I think that's what activates them to start thickening up. But anyway, we're going to go put these on the Blackstone and see how it works out. So we're getting ready to do a test of the cooking of the dehydrated eggs on the Blackstone. We'll see how they turn out.
They're going to turn out just like scrambled eggs.
Well, that was the plan. Now, normally when I scramble eggs to make them, when I'm mixing them in my bowl, I'll put a little bit of mustard in there. It helps keep the color. And I'll go ahead and add my salt and pepper. This time we did not do that. We just wanted it to be straight from dehydrated stage to the scrambled egg stage.
Check that out.
And
it looks good.
Man, I love it. I love being able to dehydrate eggs and have them preserved for later on. If you haven't already, we've got another video of freezing eggs, to where we scramble them up and we freeze them. We put them in some molds or in some little jugs, and we freeze eggs. So when we get eggs,
scrambled as you can get.
Let me get a close up.
Okay.
Just like a regular scrambled egg. So dehydrated or freezing, you will always have scrambled eggs. Don't ever let your eggs go to waste.
Or cooking eggs.
Thank you, Brian, for making our scrambled egg. Again, scrambled eggs. Can we do a little taste test? Amazing.
Scrambled egg.
Thank you for watching our video. Leave us a comment. If you have any suggestions or any comments you want to make, let us know what we could do differently. Click that notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. And give us a thumbs up after you watch our video. And if you have not already, don't forget, subscribe to our channel. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.